Welcome to the That's Good Broncos prediction episode. Today I'm breaking down the matchup between the Denver Broncos and San Diego Chargers. Thanks to @Reppin' for sending this very well done photoshopped Siemian/Burgundy image, which is, just becoming a tradition every time we play the Chargers. I'll evaluate all the position groups, give the better a point, tally them at the end to determine a winner. You should know that already. Also, huge thanks for the Patreon support. Some of you are donating up to $30, which is insane. Thank you guys so much. Your support means the fucking world to me, including my dad, who gave me $5. That was after he bought me an air compressor, and my mom bought me a used treadmill because she thinks I'm pudgy. Right in this area, I have good parents. That's good, Broncos. This is why I get paid the little bucks. Trevor Siemian, who wears number 13, a notoriously unlucky number unless you're Dan Marino, Wilt Chamberlain, or Kurt Warner, will maybe make his return to the gridiron field of dreams on October 13th. 13 and 13, coincidence? Yes. San Diego gets a half point for home field advantage, even though nobody wants Qualcomm Stadium to be home field of anything. Joe DeCamillis versus Mike McCoy. Who the hell is Joe DeCamillis, San Diego fans may be asking. He's the special teams coordinator filling in as interim head coach while Gary Kubiak recovers from a complex migraine condition, or as I call it, Tom Brady's suspension ending. We know who Mike McCoy is. A person. And I think he gets a bad rap for not being a good coach, but San Diego has simply had terrible luck the last 2 seasons. They currently have 16 players on IR, including Keenan Allen, Jason Verrett, Stevie Johnson, Danny Woodhead, Brandon Oliver, and Manti Te'o. This was the same problem they had last season. It's hard to be a good coach when half your team gets injured, and your first-round draft pick doesn't play his first game until week 5 because of contract disputes. Do I think Joe DeCamillis can manage the game as effectively as Gary Kubiak? Yes, but my concern is leaving the offensive play calling entirely up to Rick Dennison. I think he and Kubiak work well together, with Kubiak having the final say on play calls. I mean, Christ, he never puts down that damn play sheet. DeCamillis is the only NFL coach to have stabbed a football with a broomstick. And for that, I give Denver a .25 advantage. Also, because Wade Phillips has said they're dedicating this game to Gary Kubiak, I believe the team will play inspired ball. Phillip, lightning in my panties, Rivers, and wide receivers versus Denver's secondary. If you don't know why Rivers is called Boom, Lightning in My Panties, then you need to watch Broncos versus Chargers Week 17, 2015. Even though the year should say 2016. I screwed up. As much as we all want him to suck, he doesn't. Phillip Rivers is still one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL who will never win a Super Bowl. He's like the less cool version of Dan Marino of our generation. He's thrown 11 touchdowns and 3 interceptions this season without Keenan Allen and his best pass-catching back, Danny Woodhead. Rivers has been almost winning games with Dontrell Inman and Travis Benjamin as his number 1 and number 2 receivers. If either of these guys can cause matchup problems for the Broncos secondary, it's Benjamin, a small, fast receiver that Chris Harris should be covering. I'd also keep an eye on, and no, that's not a Talib joke, Terrell Williams, the big 6'4" second-year receiver who had 2 catches for 90 yards and a touchdown against the Broncos last January. Wait, actually that is a Talib joke because Williams burned Talib for an 80-yard touchdown in that game. As usual, Antonio Gates will be dangerous in the red zone, but the young gun, Hunter Henry, has been getting his fair share of looks this season as well. Combined, he and Gates have 4 touchdowns. If someone gives them trouble, it will be Henry because of his athleticism. Against Atlanta, the Broncos secondary had a pretty good game. Half of Matt Ryan's passing yards were to Tevin Coleman, who exploited Marshall and Davis, not the no-fly zone. They also held Julio Jones to 2 catches for 29 yards, and I believe they can hang with the San Diego receivers Thursday night. With the short week on the road, I'm going to call this battle a tie. San Diego running backs and O-line versus Denver's front seven. Last season, San Diego had serious injury problems with their offensive line. Tackle Joe Barksdale, Chris Hairston, and Orlando Franklin are all dealing with some sort of ailment this week. Those issues get compounded for Thursday games. Overall, this unit is in better shape than they were last season, but they're not really playing great football up front, and I think that is evident with Melvin Gordon's production. Compared to last season, he's playing much better, especially in terms of touchdown production. He had 0 last season, so anything would be better, but 6 so far this year is impressive. He's averaging only 3.4 yards per carry and has only had 1 game over 100. The Chargers are not running the ball effectively, and that will be a problem for Philip Boom Lightning in My Panties Rivers Thursday. Denver's weakness against Atlanta was linebackers Brandon Marshall and Todd Davis's inability to cover Tevin Coleman. Unless they have to cover Travis Benjamin on every play, which they won't, they should be able to focus on containing Melvin Gordon. The stronger side of San Diego's line is the right side, with Barksdale and DJ Fluker, who will have a great post-NFL career as a DJ. He won't even have to change to a stage name. DJ Fluker in the house. Miller will get the tougher matchup, so again, I'm looking to Shane Ray to have more opportunities to sack Rivers. Sly Williams, Jared Crick, and Derek Wolfe must control the line of scrimmage in this game, and I believe they will. Half point for the Broncos. Broncos running backs and O-line versus San Diego front seven. We know this has not been a positive topic of conversation here in Denver. The Broncos' running game has been non-existent the last 2 weeks, and the offensive line play has been flat out bad, specifically at the right tackle. That should improve with the return of Donald Stevenson if he does in fact play, and Virgil Green, who in run blocking situations is great at getting room for the back on the second level by putting his pads on those linebackers. Here's the problem. San Diego is better up front this season with the addition of Brandon P-Brain. Yes, with the E at the end to make it sound fancy. Mebane, believe it or not, had a pick last week. Corey Liuget and Melvin Ingram are playing well, and this unit got a big shot in the arm with a heavy dose of Bosa last week. In drug terms, this D-line got an injection of steroids with Bosa, who had 2 sacks in his debut, which leads me to believe that Joey Bosa definitely takes steroids. Print it. Even with the return of Stevenson, I don't like the matchup for the Broncos up front. The Chargers have been stingy against the run, 8th best in the NFL right now. I want the Broncos to get the run game going again, but their problem has been getting past the first level. I think CJ is a mismatch for any linebacker trying to tackle him, including San Diego's Denzel Perryman and rookie Jatavis Brown. But it's hard to beat linebackers when the running backs are being stuffed on the line. Manti Te'o is on IR, but I do predict at least 1 phantom tackle this game. San Diego gets a half-point advantage here. Trevor Siemian or Paxton Lynch and Broncos receivers versus San Diego secondary. I have to start by apologizing to Broncos tight end John Phillips, who was the tight end for the San Diego Chargers last season when I said this about him. John Phillips looks like he keeps victims' body parts in his freezer. Now that you're a Bronco, I respect the fact that you're known in the NFL as the locker room killer. Locker room talk? What about locker room murder? Like I mentioned, the Chargers' best corner, Jason Verrett, is done for the season with a torn ACL. San Diego's secondary has given up 9 touchdowns through the air. Broncos have to throw the ball well if they want to beat the Chargers. The only way they're going to get the running game going is if whoever's playing quarterback for the Broncos and the receivers are making plays. If I'm Denver, I avoid throwing it Casey Hayward's way. He's playing pretty well at corner and is the lone bright spot in that secondary. Safety Dwight Lowry is a smart veteran, but Sanders and Thomas can succeed against guys like Adrian Phillips and Craig Major. In fact, DT and Emmanuel have to put this game on their shoulders because Siemian's shoulder is all messed up. It's hard for me to predict an advantage if the Broncos don't announce the starting quarterback until game day. Right now, I don't know who will start. I think Siemian should start, but the question for me is, will he be effective with a fucked up left shoulder? One hit can ruin his entire night. I can't confidently give Denver the advantage here due to the uncertainty of Siemian's health, even though I think they have the better unit. 0 points. Special teams versus special teams. Riley Dixon's leg is probably tired after all the punts he did last week against Atlanta. But he's better than San Diego's rookie punter Drew Kaser, who is currently dead last in the NFL with an average of 39.1 yards per punt. He shanked 2 this season. Last week, he had a terrible 16-yard punt against the Raiders. Lambo and McManus have both only missed 1 field goal this season, and neither team has done anything in the return game. I do believe San Diego has more potential with Travis Benjamin returning punts, but potential is not the same as production. The Broncos get a 0.25 advantage here because Kaser, in addition to struggling as a rookie punter, also mishandled the field goal snapped last week, costing San Diego a chance to tie the game. San Diego has been close to winning all 5 of their games. They can easily win against the Broncos, a team who has a banged-up quarterback, uncertainty behind him, a missing head coach, and 4 days with the travel day to prepare for this game. Rivers tends to play well against the Broncos, and I believe this game will come down to the wire. I still believe in the Broncos defense, and this team as a whole has to win this game if they want to make another Super Bowl push. This is a test of how they face adversity. I think the odds are heavily stacked against the Broncos for this game, but I'll ride with them again this week. 26-20. Broncos win in a very strange Thursday night game. 26 points for Denver because if 13 returns on the 13th, those 2 numbers add up to 26. It's not just a guess around here, it's science. Thanks for watching another episode of That's Good Broncos. Make sure you subscribe. Give me a follow on Twitter at Brandon Perna. If you don't follow me on Twitter, you can never be a millionaire. For all of your Denver sports news needs, go to bsndenver.com. Rockies, Nugs, Avalanche, CU, CSU, they got them all. And make sure you give some love to the Mile High Report, the Broncos blog of all Broncos blogs.